What are you after? Money?
Huh? Caught guard by the sudden question and the abrupt change in Thomas's dad's demeanor, I couldn't respond right away.
You're absolutely not marrying into a rural farming family.
A resounding declaration against our marriage. That's enough. Frustrated, I stood up. My name is Lena. I'm 26 years old. I've been dating Thomas since college, and we're planning to get married in 6 months. The truth is, I don't have parents. Both passed away due to illness when I was in elementary and middle school. So I was raised by my grandparents until I moved out for college. Now only my grandfather Oliver is left, living alone in the countryside. I heard that Thomas's dad, Arnold, is an executive at a major car manufacturing company.
One day, my executive father wants to meet your guardian. It's a family meeting,
Thomas mentioned during lunch. I wondered why he had to specify executive father, but it's a marriage, so a formal meeting is natural. I replied, okay, got it. Still, Thomas occasionally boasted about coming from a wealthy, prestigious family. However, he also worked hard to live up to that reputation. He's fluent in multiple languages and was one of the top students in his class. I admired his dedication, so I called my grandfather, who lives far away in the countryside. Grandpa, I'd like you to come with me for the meeting.
Sure, it's a bit far, but I'll gladly go for you, Lena.
He agreed. But then I had no idea that the family meeting would turn out to be such an unpleasant experience. We were led into a spacious hall at his family home. Even the entrance gate was grand, and the hallway leading to the hall was wide and long. The room was immaculate, with a beautiful garden visible through the windows. Expensive-looking paintings, vases, and flowers adorned the walls. It was clearly luxurious. Dinner was already set. Please, have a seat, urged Thomas's mom, Freda, as I hesitantly sat down. I noticed a man who looked like a chef standing nearby. Freda was dressed elegantly, and I was in awe, thinking, so this is what a lady from a prestigious family looks like. Soon, Arnold arrived.
Thank you for coming to the family meeting.
He was a good-looking man, a confident smile.
Please enjoy the meal,
he said. However, it didn't take long for that to turn into a
you should leave.
It happened within 10 minutes.
So, Oliver, what do you do for a living?
Arnold asked.
I'm a farmer,
my grandfather answered. The moment he said that, Arnold slammed his cutlery onto the table.
A farmer?
In an instant, Arnold looked up and glared at me with an expression as if possessed by a demon.
And what are you after? Money?
Arnold shouted in a low voice. What? I was stunned, unable to respond to the sudden accusation and the abrupt change in Arnold's demeanor. Arnold pressed on.
A farmer's daughter has no place here.
What? Since when is being a farmer's daughter a bad thing? I couldn't catch up.
Can't believe she's from a farming family. Smells like cow dung, doesn't it? Thomas, wake up. She's after your money. Country girls like her are nothing but gold diggers.
Stunned by his outburst, Thomas stammered,
But Lena and I, we went to the same college. She's not like that.
That's when Freda chimed in. Oh, please stop. But her voice wasn't one of reprimand. It was mocking. Freda sneered. Even she smiles disgustingly and looks down at me. From a farming family to the same college as Thomas? How rare. So, Lena, you want to join our prestigious lineage? I get it. People who study agriculture are usually not that bright. They had no other options. If you really want to join us, cut ties with your family. Then we might consider it. What is this? I slammed my cutlery down. That's enough. I yelled, standing up. Grandpa, let's go. I urged my grandfather to his feet and stormed out.
Good riddance.
Arnold's voice echoed as we left. Thomas chased after me to the gate and grabbed my shoulder. I shook him off. What's with your dad's attitude? I was furious. My grandpa came all the way. I was about to say that unless his father apologized, the marriage was off. Unbelievable words came out of Thomas's mouth.
But Lena, generally speaking, what my parents said about rural farmers is true.
What? I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Thomas sighed.
Look, Lena, you'll be alone soon. Being part of a prestigious family isn't a bad deal. Apologize to my dad and join our family. I'll arrange it.
This is a cliché. Unbelievable. Who does he think he is? Any affection I had cooled instantly. What the heck? My feelings suddenly cooled down.
Let's go.
My grandfather spoke up. Yeah, let's go. I yelled back at Thomas. Forget this ever happened. Marry whoever you want. Without looking back, my grandfather and I walked away. I'm glad I found out what kind of person he is now. Imagine if we'd gotten married. I was still furious as I saw my grandfather off at the airport. He mumbled,
Well, maybe people don't realize the importance of farming until something triggers it.
Trigger? We can't live without food. The vegetables in their fancy dishes come from farmers. I didn't realize it then, but I would later come to understand what my grandfather meant by
until something triggers it.
So Thomas and I broke off our engagement and parted ways.
Look, if you just apologize deeply, maybe...
Thomas was still saying this during our final conversation. An apology without substance is out of the question. I shot back. I had no lingering feelings for Thomas, whom I had left. Months later, my phone rang. It was Thomas. What does he want? I'm not interested in getting back together. I told you I'm not apologizing. I snapped as soon as I picked up. But contrary to my expectations, Thomas stammered.
It's not you. My dad wants to apologize. Please let him offer a sincere apology.
I was taken aback. What's going on? Thomas continued formally.
We were very reckless in our words and actions. We'd like to apologize in person to you and your grandfather, Oliver.
He sounded so contrite. I could almost see him bowing over the phone. Not sure what was going on, but it seems they wanted to apologize to my grandfather. So I contacted him.
Let's hear them out at their place,
my grandfather said over the phone. What's going on? I asked.
They got outsmarted by the very farmers they looked down on.
My grandfather chuckled. We visited Thomas's house again and were led to the same grand room. 5 minutes later, Thomas and his parents arrived, all in black suits. At that moment, I am at a loss for words. Before I could say anything, Arnold, followed by Thomas and Freda, dropped to their knees and bowed deeply, shouting,
"We are extremely sorry."
I was speechless. My grandfather said,
"Do you understand now?" "Yes, painfully so,"
Arnold replied. I was still trying to catch my breath. Arnold began to speak softly.
"A week after my rude comment, our R&D department informed us that our olive oil supply had stopped and started going to a rival company."
By the time he finished, Arnold was visibly shaking. My grandfather, on the other hand, looked relaxed.
"So, you were planning to use olive oil as a substitute for fossil fuels and engine oil,"
he said.
"I wasn't involved in the development, so I didn't know,"
Arnold replied.
"That's the point,"
My grandfather declared. He continued,
"You see, it's not just about food. Farming affects many aspects of life, and farmers are the ones who make that happen. They are the creators of the Earth's bounty. There's no aspect of life that doesn't involve agriculture. Your company underestimated the importance of farmers. Now you're paying the price."
My grandfather revealed that he had been growing olives and producing the oil that Arnold's company had been using.
"We've decided to partner with a more progressive company. Good luck being on your own,"
My grandfather said.
"That's, please, anything but that."
Arnold's forehead was probably red from all the bowing. Finally, I understood what had happened. Thomas, probably seeing his father like this for the first time, seemed to think he had to do something. This time, Thomas looked up from the floor and pleaded.
"Look, I know I messed up with your grandfather, but my dad is apologizing. Can't we start over? And could you please convince your grandfather?"
What's his deal? Is he kidding me? I was furious. My anger boiled over, but I found calm words. Why did you study biotechnology in college if you're going to look down on farmers?
"Because it's good for job prospects,"
he said. I couldn't help but laugh. Since this is how they got into the company, I think their parents have a lot of power. Any company would ask you why you chose that department at university. By that answer alone, you've learned nothing in college. I liked the Thomas who worked hard, but I can't stand the Thomas who looks down on others. I'm a farmer's daughter. I chose biotechnology to help farmers grow better crops. Our life goals are just too different.
"Oh,"
He was on the floor, his face a mess of tears and snot. It was an ugly sight.
"If you and Grandpa abandon me, what about Dad? No, and the mom that Dad supports."
Freda? I looked at Freda. She seemed to be the most disrespectful one here. Freda lifted her head from the floor. Her eyes were red, probably from crying. But that wasn't my concern. I pushed her away coldly. I come from a farming family, and I believe all living things are equal. I respect my grandfather, and I won't cut ties with him. Maybe you should be the one to cut ties with society. Freda had nothing to say. She just lowered her head back to the floor. Having said what needed to be said, we decided to leave. "Goodbye," I announced. The three of them tried to cling to us, but we ignored them and left Thomas's house. On the way home, just the two of us, my grandfather spoke.
"There's a place nearby that uses my olive oil. Want to stop by? It's been a while since we had a meal together. I'd like to catch up."
Grandpa smiled, and I returned that smile. In the end, This incident led to Arnold being demoted. Forced into demotion, he eventually retired. The company had to halt the development of their engine oil, which was the cause. Thomas, who got his job through Arnold's influence, had no prospects for promotion. He was forced to resign, labeled as the son of the guy who had to quit. He texted me,
"I have no financial support now. Please help."
I replied, "How does it feel to be financially alone?" and blocked his number. On the other hand, the engine oil we co-developed with a rising company was doing well. It even won some awards, and Grandpa expanded the factory. I was busy working in the lab, aiming for further improvements. During that time, I met someone in the lab and decided to get married.
"Sorry you have to walk down the aisle with an old man like me,"
Grandpa said. "No way! I'm so happy to show you this moment, Grandpa." I held Grandpa's hand. "Thank you, Grandpa. I was never lonely because you were there, even when my parents weren't. I'm happy now because you were there. I love you so much, Grandpa." The doors to the ceremony opened.